Okay, my favorite thing to do with this car is get on the gas, especially at night with the steering headlights, and just give it just a little sway. I mean, I'm doing that to test the control arms. That's a test drive maneuver for something anyway. I want to see where we're at, but it just feels good in this car. It feels way good. The snake thing. Before doing the control arms, that would be scary. Like, that would feel reckless and bad, but it feels tight and awesome now. You look at these guys, you can see that they are just cracked as crack all the way around. To support the vehicle, you just need to be able to have these hang down. You can't support it by the lower control arms. Then you come up here and you've got these little, the magnetic fluid stuff is activated by this. So you've got a wire underneath it here. You just squeeze it to center and then gently twist and pull up. Do that on both sides. It's a 22mm socket to get the lug nuts off. 22 fits, it's a tight fit. And no, that's not some kind of communist sickle. That's just the ball joint press carved into it, because that's what size my ball joint press is, to remind me. Because it's a tight fit, I don't get them all the way off. That way it'll pull the socket apart from it. So when you pull it off, I just support it with my leg and I'll just kind of pull back just so I don't scrape. Or take your 18mm wrench, you just put it on there and just give it a yank. Just get it to crack free. And then once you've done that, you'll find that the whole thing moves in unison. As I take this open end wrench, you'll see the threads of the bottom portion move as well. For tightening or loosening the steering knuckle to upper control arm nut, take a 5mm Allen wrench, put it on there, and then as you go to do it like this, it'll hold it still. You can take it off. You can see how the ratcheting box wrench has quite the benefit to it. Looks like we won't have to whack the top part at all to get it to come loose, because it is fully compliant. So I'll have to check out that ball joint. Hopefully the ball joint's fine. There we go. So you can see that's not too bad. I put a little penetrating oil on it, and easy peasy. So we're going to take this little arm that goes to the sensor for the stability control. I just take a short 10mm box wrench. This one happens to be gear wrench, but I'm just using the opening end. So what you do is you just loosen this. At first, as you're coming out, it's pretty easy, it's not too bad, and then it gets easier and easier and then starts to get hard again. Holding the bottom of the rod and supporting the spring weight, and then I can turn it out by hand with just my fingers and I get a nice clean thing. You'll see that it's tapered, kind of a self-tapping type thing. So you want to be careful not to exploit that too much, or else it'll wallow out the hole and you'll have difficulty getting it to stay in the future. This is really interesting technology, because rather than having the bolt section be tapered all the way through, if you wiggle this and then pull up, you'll find that you still have that taper. You kind of got to have that to center and hold well. But it's different. It's very conical. It's a very steep angle. So when you check the ball joint, this only has 40,000 miles on it and the bushings are shot, but the ball joint's actually in good shape. You can get a good positive catch. It's not floppy, so that's good. You can see that the arm, it wants to be at rest at about this position. It's just about level. It's not exactly 90 degrees. It's a little bit down in the front. You can kind of feel a resting spot. That's where you want to tighten these in when you do the bushings, the new ones. So I take that same 10mm ratcheting box wrench and put it on the backside bolt here, and just go ahead and pull the ABS sensor wire. This will give you more clearance and make things easier when you go to pull that strut assembly out. The rear side has a bracket on it. You'll need to string that out. Support the lower control arm as this one comes out. That support will help that hole in the lower control arm that's aluminum and soft. It'll keep it from getting messed up. So I've got an 18mm deep socket because of this one stud here. I'm going to leave this and the stud in. So I'm going to go through and just pull everything in. So the bolt, nut, and washer can all go. And then this bolt can go also. You can see this goes pretty fast. We'll pull the strut tower brace off. This will get left under the hood like this, and I'll be able to just take this while I'm supporting the weight of the strut assembly, and I'll be able to pull these two out, no problem. So I've got one last bolt that needs to come out, and for that I'll get a ratchet just because of the access angle. It goes in at about a 45-degree angle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get on this guy with just a short 18mm socket, and we're going to be a little bit on the gentle side, breaking this free. But once you get it free a little bit, that's steel into aluminum and it's got a coating on it so that it doesn't get stuck too bad. You can pretty much spin it out the rest of the way by hand. So like I say, all I have holding that whole assembly in there at this point is this bolt and this stud. That's it. So I'll want to support the weight of it, zip those out. While I'm doing it, I'll pull this one first because it's a longer reach, it's more awkward. I'll set it in place someplace where it won't fall down into the engine cradle or something, and then I'll pull the other one, and then I'll return the impact gun to this position. I'll just take this bolt and set it off to the side on top of that little cover. Nice thing about it is it's penguin egg proof. I mean, the egg's not gonna, or the bolt in this case, isn't gonna go rolling off anywhere because of that grid. It's kind of nice. So as I pull the bolts out, it can stand on that lower control arm without hurting anything. I'm just going to be careful with that nipple. It's metal, but it's electrical connector, so I'm going to be careful. So that stud's just standing in there. I'll do the bolt. So I'm going to let it sink down so it holds the bolt. And then I grab the bolt, set it in there just like the plan. Now I've got two hands to work with. I sink the strut down, watch the paint, and I'm angled forward and outboard. And then just watch these mounts on the bottom here that they don't snag on your wire too bad. That's one of the nice reasons that we have it apart, is it gives you a little room to play with. Echo! Now why don't we just replace it in the car? When you look at this, the bolts come in from this side and they come in from this side, and we've got metal plates on either side that prevent the bolts from having the travel they need to move. It's easier to work with it this way, but it's also possible versus impossible. From here I take my 18mm impact and my ratcheting box wrench. You just hold in on the back side. And again, remember when you tighten these down, you want the tension to be just about straight out, but the most important thing is that they're the same. If you have it a little too far down, your front end will sit a little too high. If you have it too high, it'll sit a little bit low, just kind of the opposite. This gives a little support. There's no room to pull the bolt out because there's sheet metal inside the wheel well. That's why you pull the whole thing like this. Pretty ambidextrous. An opportunity. There you go. So you take the factory one like this, pitch it, all that aluminum, all that casting, everything, or you can just put new bushings in. Then the tripod falls apart. So removing the control arm, it's not too terrible. I mean, the first time it might be, but with these tips and tricks and things that I give you, it should be pretty cut and dry. The hard part for me was getting the parts. What the fuka are you talking about? Front upper control arm, that's what I'm talking about. You have to replace the whole thing if you get it from the dealership, to the tune of $500 to get both sides at $250 each. So that's option number one. You know it's going to fail at 40,000 miles. What more? Give me some more options here. What do we got? So we got an aftermarket one, front upper control arm assembly, the whole thing, $165 each, so $330 total. But the problem is both of these weren't even an option when I did it. The supply chain's better and now they're in stock. All I had was a big fat back order. You can't touch this. Ooh, ooh, ooh. back ordered. So the other thing was RevShift had these things online. I Googled it, just the bushings. That's all I wanted was just bushings. The ball joint's good, I showed you that. But 80 bucks, that's a screaming deal. Polyurethane, what? Super fancy, lubricated forever Teflon lube stuff, what? Here's what the name of it is, I can't remember at the moment. Full floating, you know, that sounds amazing. So I wanted to do that. I ran into a bunch of headache. I'm gonna put that in the bonus footage at the end. But long story short, the shoulders are too fat if it's newer than 2007. 2010 needs to be about 6.5 millimeters. You can either cut it off the end, or if you can lathe it, I don't know anybody that can lathe polyurethane, but if you could, same thing, just cut it down to about 6.5 millimeters this way. If you cut off the ends, then you're going to find that the thickness here creates a gap in the middle. The gap can be a good thing for getting grease up if you're going to do a grease zerk and that bulge designed for a grease zerk on the aluminum tube part of the upper control arm on each one. Anyway, there's that. I like these guys. I mean, American company, how hard is it to manufacture in the United States? I don't know. Have you ever dealt with the EPA, OSHA, Workman's Comp, Obamacare, you know, trying to have part-time employees or deal with having insurance for them? It's a pain in the neck. These guys are doing it, killing it, getting it done. So I want to show them some love. Plus their customer service for me. When I murder-cated, by cutting the shoulders off, I murder-cated these bushings and they sent me new ones. That was my being stupid, and they totally hooked me up, so I want to give them some love. They didn't pay me to do this. Small company, you know, they've got all kinds of challenges. But, and the other thing, the reason that I really like these is the performance was off the hook. It was so much better with these than it ever was driving that Cadillac back before the bushings failed. So, anyway, to the bushings, to the bushing mobile.